guest today is Mathew from Fred Olsen Cruises. Good afternoon, Mathew.
Good afternoon, Ken. How are you?
I'm awake. And how are you?
I'm good. I'm very, like you said, no, the snow has gone a lot better. Thanks.
Yeah, because you're on the road, aren't you?
I'm on the road, yeah.
You don't need any bits of snow, do you?
No, I mean, it's always this time of year. I think we had a little bit of snow similar last year. It seems to last 3 days and then it goes, but in the 3 days it comes,
the country comes to a standstill, doesn't it? Yeah, that's fine. Anyway, we're going to go cruising, and for first-time cruisers listening, we've got a few tips, and we've got our own Rod talking about first-time cruising, and Mathew is going to tell us all about Fred Olsen and their 3 ships.
3 ships, yes.
Okay, I've got the names here, and I'll go through that in a little while. Now then, you have been on the road for quite some time. In fact, you've been with Fred Olsen how long?
19 years.
Did you get a medal?
I think I get a watch on 20.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
Keep going, yeah. Keep going for the watch.
That's a silver one, then you have to work through the gold one, is it? Right, okay. But you've been in travel quite some time, haven't you?
Yeah, I have been in travel quite a few years now. And I sort of fell into travel, to be honest with you. I left university and was working for Halfords at the time, sort of just as a part-time job. And
as in mechanically?
Yeah, I was on the bike section on push bikes, and I sort of wanted to do a bit of travelling. I always had an interest in travel, and I had a friend who'd come back from Australia. He spent a year in Australia, and he said, "Oh, I've got the bug again. I fancy doing something." He said, "Do you fancy doing the States?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, we'll go across America." So I said, yeah, sounds like a good idea. Yeah. Why not? So we got a one-way flight to New York and a one-way flight out of Los Angeles, and
Greyhound,
a bit of Greyhound, a bit of Amtrak. Yeah. We sort of managed to get across. So we sort of zigzagged across. I think we only did 1 or 2 internal flights. Yeah, Amtrak is really limited on where you can get to. In America.
Yeah, it's not like British Rail or whatever we have at the National Rail.
Yeah. So we sort of managed to get all the way across, and then came back from the States and ended up going back to Halfords again. Was sort of, back to the old job sort of thing.
Yeah. Security.
Yeah. And I think it was my mother. I think it was my mother saw a job working in Manchester for what was then Air Tours.
Air Tours. That's a name from the past, isn't it?
Yeah. So she saw it was part of the My Travel group, and it was Air Tours, and it was a call centre just off Deansgate. So I went for the interview and
got it.
Yeah. And sort of went through all the quite a bit of training then, Ken, back, and you probably know this, all the airport codes of...
You had to know them.
You had to know the airport code, pricing from brochures, all the fuel surcharges and what have you.
Pre-you, I had to do my own airline calculations.
Yeah.
5-day course at somewhere near Heathrow, and I got the certificate at the end of the day, but they made you work for it. The backhaul... maximum permitted mileage, intermediate points, and it went on, and all you're doing is selling an air ticket at the end of the day, but you had to do it.
You had to do it, yeah. And that was sort of I think it was probably a good 6 months worth of training, to be honest with you. It was all about the main sort of costas in Spain and hotel properties, and there was an exam at the end. It wasn't, it wasn't just to get in and sell. It was, you had to know your stuff, to be honest with you. So we did the training course and then got the job, and then what was then Teletext.
Oh my God!
Teletext holidays. So all the people,
TV,
people looking at the pages and sort of seeing what there was, and people would ring and say, "I've seen something on page 158," which I wouldn't have a clue what was on page 158. So
made it work.
Made us have a look for it, and then sort of worked for Air Tours, and then left Air Tours and a few different jobs in the industry, British Airways and
brilliant
travel bag in Knutsford, and then worked for Fred.
So you had a proper job, but you had to work with the public.
Yes.
That's the hard bit, isn't it?
Yeah, because a lot of my role now is what we class as business-to-business role.
Yes.
But I spent a good number of years ultimately selling what was then package holidays, then moving over to tailor-made holidays. Because my background of States and travelling in America, I was a USA specialist for travel bags. So, a lot of sort of packaging people who come in and ring us up and sort of say, I'm interested in doing this in America. What are your suggestions? And I think when you've had that real experience of doing it and seeing it, you've got that first-hand knowledge of saying, well, you don't want to do this, but maybe try this, or stay here and don't stay there. And
that's exactly how I do it. I still do my tailor-made holidays around the world, and the best thing is that you've been there, and you don't turn right, don't turn left, do this, and they appreciate it at the end of the day.
It's the little snippets of knowledge that you would only know of being there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of so important a lot of the time. And I think that's what, when you're talking to someone, when I think about my days back in the agency, and they sort of said, why do you think we shouldn't do that? And you said, well, X, Y, and Z. And they go, all right, okay, I hadn't even thought of that. Went across my mind. And I don't think it's something you can research sometimes online.
No.
It's one of them things you kind of have to know. I mean, people talk about AI, don't they? I think it's them little things that maybe AI can't do.
But AI hasn't been to this hotel and that hotel, or and what I really love is that the small independent travel agents are coming back now. People are now going by foot into the travel agency and saying, hi, can you help me, etc. And I'm online. Yeah. I could be offline now, but I'm online, so you can ring me. I'm still here 24/7, it feels like sometimes. But you just get that knowledge and away you go, sort of thing.
Yeah, it's really important.
I still love putting them together for people as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, please you did all that as well, because as I say, you've been there. You got educated up in Edge Hill University.
Yeah.
Was that for Halfords in the end?
No, do you know I didn't? I did a degree in history.
Oh, wow.
It was one of them. A lot of people who go to university never end up using the degree they actually got, but it was good. It was a good sort of knowledge base. I was a keen interest in history and what have you.
Yeah.
So sort of studied up there. But I worked during university. I never stayed over. I sort of commuted backwards and forwards.
Oh, wow. Edge Hill, Liverpool?
Yeah, just near Ormskirk sort of way.
Oh, right, okay.
So, I was sort of living at the time sort of in between Wigan and Bolton, and would sort of, initially in the first year, it was on the bus backwards and forwards, didn't have a car.
Let me stop you there.
That's a bus, yeah. You'd pick up on that.
We had a quick chat before you came on saying, where did you live? Because my relatives live up in Hindley, which is Wigan area. And when that buzz came out there, that really gives you can never hide it, can you?
You can never.
It's great.
And I don't try. I don't try
No, exactly. Don't ever. I love accents, I really do.
Yeah.
It's like, but every 5 miles up in North Manchester, especially North Manchester, it's every 5 miles in a different language.
I find it surreal. I've got friends who come from Lee, which is a slightly different accent from the Wigan accent. The Wigan accent's different from the Bolton accent. Yeah, them very slight twangs that are different.
And they're all 5 miles apart, aren't they?
Yeah, I find it surreal, to be honest with you. A lot of people, I go around the country quite a bit, and I don't think it doesn't seem as bad in other parts of the country, but in the northwest, little changes.
I think here, possibly Yorkshire as well. It's the same. It's like every 5 miles, a different one. I love it. Absolutely love it. Meanwhile, back on the Bulls, and you went to Edge Hill, did you?
Yeah, I went to Edge Hill. So like I say, I managed to get a car after a few years and was going backwards and forwards, and got the degree in history. Sort of at the end of it,
which pointed out to nothing.
Pointed out to nothing, no, and it was strange because I think at the end of the degree we had to do sort of a university dissertation. It was always a big piece at the end. And mine was modern history, so it was a lot of it was kind of, World War I, World War II and what have you. But I went very left field on the dissertation piece. I ended up doing a video, for 20 minutes about the history of drug use in the Tour de France. So completely...
That's really helpful.
Yeah, it was kind of... I think it was dating back from the origins of the Tour de France and how drugs had always been a thing, to be honest with you. I know it kind of... I'm going back a number of years now, but the whole Lance Armstrong sort of saga...
I was just about to say, that was the peak, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think back in 1998, there was a Tour de France which ended up getting stopped a lot because of different... It was the Festina affair and lots of drug raids and things like that, and EPO and blood doping and what have you. But actually, going back to the original dates, going back to like 1908 and even sort of I think 40s and 50s and Faustino Coppi and all them sort of cyclists who would openly talk about supplements and
supplements was
supplements
it?
At the time, I think it was.
But can I just say, actually, it does prove worthwhile. You've got a conversation out of that.
Yeah.
So, this is 2 years of study, 3 years of study.
3 years of study, and then ended up doing the dissertation on something completely different. But I had an interest in it, and I think that's the difference. I think as long as you can take that historical aspect of it, it's the interest in it. So
I think that's brilliant.
What is it that makes a Fred Olsen cruise so magical? Maybe it's the awe-inspiring destinations, the wonderful people you travel with, or our extraordinary crew? Or is it simply the sea air and the sun on your face as you walk along the open deck? It could be all of this, or none of it. But if you really knew, then maybe it wouldn't be magic anymore. There is free onboard credit up to £200 per cabin or £100 per person on selected cruises departing between the 4th of January 2026 and the 14th of May 2027. Early booking offers are available until 29th of January 2026. T's and C's apply. For more information or to book a magical cruise, contact your local independent travel agent who will help you find the Fred Olsen cruise of your choice.
Now, Matthew, we've gone through Wigan, we've done the Bulls, and we're now back on with you and Fred Olsen, 19 years. On the road all the time, or
on the road all the time? Yeah,
right,
different sort of patches within it. So I originally started off doing the northwest, sort of Midlands area across to Lincolnshire originally.
Yeah.
So a bit of a sort of the 62 was I was kind of consistently on the 62, to be honest with you.
Everybody hates the 62.
Yeah, the 62 was the vein of my life.
Yeah.
And then sort of moved across. We had various different changes within the teams. We ended up doing a bit more of the northern area, sort of Yorkshire, and then moved into sort of some of the south area. And yeah, now the role is I've got a team of account managers out on the road.
Brilliant.
So we've got an account manager up in Scotland, one based who looks after the northeast of the country, one who looks after the northwest, and then two down, one looking after the southeast, southwest, and then one account manager who's based in the office. So yeah, and I sort of then a national covering everything.
Good to you.
Yeah.
I don't envy you that driving on the road, especially in the winter, is not my cup of tea, I tell you.
It's not ideal. And we were saying when I came in, just before we came on air, about as soon as we finished this, and then in the car driving to Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
4 hours.
Good 4 hours up to Edinburgh. Yeah,
I did that a few times when my daughter was at university up there, and fine, I'll let you do it.
Yeah,
there we
yeah.
go. Meanwhile, back on Fred Olsen, you've got a campaign going on at the moment, haven't you, to get early people to book early?
Yeah, it's the time of year. This is the time. I mean, it's well known in the holiday industry that, you know, as soon as Boxing Day starts, well, sometimes even as Christmas Day is on, all the holiday ads come on. You know, it's not just us in cruise lines; it's package holidays and what have you, and it's a key booking period. So, hence the reason for the sort of additional incentive we have on at the minute, which is valid until the end of January, the 29th of Jan. Yeah, up to £200 onboard credit on a selection of cruises. So some have got 50, 100, and some the slightly longer duration ones have got the £200 per cabin onboard spend.
So I've got a lot here actually. Do you want to read out where they go and what you can save £200 for?
Yes, you've got a real nice selection, and I'll sort of pick out maybe some of the Liverpool departures. I know we'll probably talk about Liverpool in a short while, but we've got some departing relatively soon, to be honest with you. A longer duration cruise, 19 nights going down to the Med from Liverpool on the 12th of March. That's got the £200 onboard credit on it. We have another selection of cruises, another slightly longer one, but from Liverpool, 24 nights on the 28th of April, going down to Croatia.
Oh, wow.
Liverpool, really nice cruise going down to Croatia, 24 nights. That's got the £200 onboard spend as well.
So April, that's springtime, and Croatia I've been to in the spring, in fact. So I think it's a lovely place to
nice time of year to go, and it's a little bit quieter than you get in the summer.
And
in the
not
summer
too hot.
It's exactly that. You know, when you go in July and August, it's very hot down there in Croatia at that time of year, and very busy. You do get a number of cruise ships in at that time.
Sure.
So I think if you're in somewhere like Dubrovnik and you're walking around the walls, doing it in spring it's probably a bit more pleasant than doing it in the summer.
Yeah, I would say so. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. And then just sort of going down the list, maybe looking at some other different departure ports. We've got a really long one. I'm going to mention it.
Go on.
We do a long duration cruise at 71 nights.
Wow, where's that to?
That's down to the Med, but on a very, very long duration. So if you really want to discover a lot of the Med, 71 nights. That's got the £200 on it as well.
Right.
That's from Southampton. But then looking a little bit later on in the year, another one from Liverpool I'll just pick out is a Canaries.
Yeah.
But a Canaries in December, 7th of December, taking in the meteor shower.
Oh, wow, yes.
Yeah, so
it's time for that.
Yeah, it is. And you'll get a number of cruises throughout the year that maybe go for the Northern Lights or a meteor shower or a solar eclipse.
Yeah.
And that particular one in December from Liverpool has got the meteor shower on it. And these sailings go all the way into 2027. So you've got another one here, say, for example, from Southampton, which goes down to Italy on the 2nd of April, 2027.
Wow.
So for next year. And that's got the £200 onboard credit as well.
Strangely, I don't even know what I'm doing this year. But 2027, people will book it because they know roughly what they want to do and spend.
I think that's it. Ken, I think a lot of people, if you've got this year sorted out, people looking forward to 2027. I mean, some cruise lines have got 2028 out as well.
Wow.
Yeah, so, really far in advance.
But I've got a bit of information here. So cruising is expanding like mad. The increase in new ship constructions, driven by factors like returning travellers, generational trips. That's the growth market, isn't it? Mum, dad, mother, father, and then all the kids. So it's granny, mother and kids, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I think sometimes it's driven by maybe the grandparents who've cruised over the past few years and really enjoy it, and then take their kids, and then grandkids come along as well.
And they've saved up.
Yeah. And I think that's the difference now in the cruise industry. There's lots of different ships that suit different markets. We're slightly different at Fred Olsen. Obviously, we don't tend to cater for the kids. There's not many children activities on board. They're more than welcome to come on board two of the ships.
Yep.
But we do have one ship which is purely adult only, which is the Borealis.
Yep. Well, shall we do the ships now? Because I was going to do it a little later, but let's go through them. So you've got 3 ships. Yep. Can you name them off the top of your head?
We've got the Balmoral, Belletta and Borealis. So they're the 3 ships in the fleet. Two of the ships, Belletta and Borealis, being sister ships. The most recent acquisitions into the fleet, admittedly it's a few years ago now. And then we've got Balmoral, which is the existing ship in the fleet as well.
Now, that's the smallest I've got written down here.
Yes.
And how many passengers do you carry on that one?
So Balmoral's around about 1,200 guests. She's just over 43,000 tonnes, and that's versus the other 2 ships. We're around about 1,400 guests, so not a massive difference in the number of guests with the other 2 ships, but a bit of a difference in the tonnage. The other 2 ships are just over 60,000 tonnes.
Okay, so a bit bigger.
A little bit bigger, yeah, but not a difference in the guest numbers, only 200 guest difference, and the reason for that is the 2 ships, Belletta and Borealis, they're very, very spacious. So what you generally see from example like the cabin sizes are very, very good. So you're looking at around about 183 square feet on an interior cabin, on an ocean view cabin, around about 215 square feet. So they're a good size.
Well, I can compare that with my 130 square metres.
Right, okay.
That was on the recent cruise. I won't name the cruise line because I did it last week, I think it was, yeah. And I was up in the Caribbean for a week. But brilliant. Yeah. It was good. Size of the cabin was fine by me.
Yeah.
Bed, certainly shower, toilet, TV, and a sitting area, which is good. Slightly lacking in wardrobe space. That's the only thing I would say. But half time you unpack and pack in the suitcase, don't you?
Yeah, you do. So. And I think even Balmoral cabin size on average is about 160. That's on an inside out. Suites are the bigger cabins. But the 2 newer ships, they've come from a kind of a premium line, so you do feel very spacious. Not only just inside the cabin, but it's a very open plan ship. So when you're walking around, it's a nice feel to it.
Now, which one was that? Did you say that was?
So with Belletta and Borealis are the 2 newer ones, and then Balmoral's the existing ship in the fleet that we've had since for a number of years now, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think went on the Belletta with you, didn't I?
You did, yeah, in Liverpool.
Yeah, a quick walk. Well, not a quick walk round. It was on several hours, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And the one thing that struck me was the crew. The crew just sell themselves, don't they? They love the job.
Yeah, and I think it really comes across. That's some of the differences sometimes between the small ships and the bigger ships. I think on a small ship experience, you really get to know the crew. And I think that really comes across. And I think if you want to, you were only on for the day, Ken, weren't you? But
that's
I think, when you're on for a week, you get to know the crew on a first name basis. I've known some of the crew on the ships for the duration of time that I've been at Fred Olsen, which I think is great. I think that shows that they enjoy it as well. Because a lot of the crew, they stay. Right. And they don't have to stay, they're generally contracted for around about 9 months. And then after that 9-month contract, they can either look to renew with us or change cruise lines. But we have a lot of returning crew, and I think that shows.
Now then, back with my colleague here and friend from the travel business, Mathew, and it's all things Fred Olsen Cruises. Now, Mathew, we've just mentioned the ships, and I'd like to go through them with you, if you don't mind, because basically each one's got its own facilities, and give me a rough rundown, say Belletta, which is your flagship, isn't it?
Yeah, Belletta's the flagship. I think if you've never been on a cruise ship before, it's quite hard to understand sometimes what it is like. And I think because we are the smaller side of it, and sometimes with a smaller ship, it's quite hard to understand what that actually means when you say smaller ship, because it's still got a real mix of different facilities on board. So you've still got everything you'd expect on a cruise ship, and everything you'd expect if you've never cruised before, everything you expect in a really quality hotel. So you've got your gym and your spa facilities on board, you've got your swimming pools, you've got your jacuzzis, you've got a choice of dining options, and I think this is one of the things which sometimes varies from cruise line to cruise line.
And also it throws people as well. And when I first started cruising quite a few years ago now, it was set times.
Yes.
And now, is it still the same?
We still have a set time policy, so that's more in the evening time. So in the morning, you've got your breakfast service, 10 o'clock tea and biscuits, 12 o'clock lunch, 3:30 afternoon tea, and then we do 2 sittings for the evening meal. We do a 6 and an 8. So depending on what time people would want, at the booking stage, you would request that dining time. So obviously, the further you book in advance, the more likelihood you'll get your requested time. So a first and a second sitting, and then at 11:30 we have a supper club. But along with that, we also have the casual dining options. So if you don't want to attend your sitting that evening, you can go to the casual dining option, help yourself to the sort of the various different buffets that are available, or you may want to book into speciality dining, which comes at a small surcharge. If you book in advance, it's lower. If you book on board, it's a little bit more, but still very reasonable, between £20 and £25, depending on when you book.
Right. Let me stop you there, because, again, it's not confusion, but it's understanding how the system works. So we've got a 6 and an 8 o'clock, and you can't just turn up, can you, at any time?
No, you would request that at the time. So at the booking stage, you would request the first or second sitting, which would then get confirmed to you. And then once you're on board the ship, that would be your dedicated dining time for the evening meal. So for breakfast, lunch, any time. But for evening meal, if you were on 6 o'clock, that would be the sitting that you'd be on.
Now, I did find a slight flexibility on the cruise line I went, and they had turn up, will give you a little vibrating thing.
Yes.
Go and have a drink at the bar and come back. And we found that worked. Do you operate that?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Some cruise lines operate kind of a freedom dining policy where you literally just turn up, and then it depends on how busy the restaurant is. So I suppose no different from not having a reservation in the UK and walking down to your local restaurant saying, "Can you fit me in?" Sometimes you might have to sit and wait.
Come back in half an hour.
Yeah, sometimes I might say, "Can you come back in half an hour?" Because the size of our ships is a little bit trickier, so that's why we do that first and second sitting.
That's fine. It works, doesn't it? That's great. And the other side that you mentioned there was speciality dining. How does that work, and how do I book it?
Yeah, so speciality dining, we now work on 3 different restaurant choices. So our main speciality dining restaurant on the ship is called Colours and Tastes. And Colours and Tastes is now in the process of just slightly changing its menu. So if you're listening, you've been on board before, you will know Colours and Tastes because it was our Asian fusion restaurant. We're just changing that now. So it's moving from an option of Asian fusion, a traditional Italian option, and also sort of a sort of steak option as well. So there's 3 different options that will be
same restaurant.
Yeah, same restaurant, but 3 varying different choices of menus. So it's getting rolled out across the fleet. So it may not be on the ship at the minute, but it is something which is gradually getting rolled out.
Okay, so if I turn up and I don't know what I want, can I choose from all 3?
No. So basically, that's the thing. So before you get on the ship, you'll know which options you've got on your sailing, whether it's going to be the Italian one, whether it's going to be the Asian fusion one.
Oh, it's for the whole cruise.
And then you'll get to pick one of them choices within the speciality dining option. Okay. And the food quality in the main restaurant is superb.
Oh, yeah.
It really, really is. Yeah. It's just offering that little bit more choice. You know, maybe you don't want to dine in the main restaurant. The Colours and Tastes restaurant is more intimate, and it gives you that flexibility of the dining time then as well.
Yeah.
So it's not set dining in speciality. You'll then select your dining time of when you'd like to dine.
It's probably every 15 minutes through from 6 till 9, is it?
Yeah. So it'll be that option on it.
Okay. Now, if you go for the early sitting, do you go to see a show?
Yes, you'll have. In our main show lounge, which is generally called the Neptune Lounge, we have 2 shows operating every evening. So if you were dining on first sitting and then you want to go and see the main show in the show lounge, you can get to go and see that after you've dined. But then for the second sitting guest, we repeat the same show.
Yes.
So don't worry. If you're on first sitting, you'll get to see the show. If you're on second sitting, that same show will get repeated for the evening time as well.
Yeah, because a lot of people I found rushed for the 6 o'clock. This is going back over the millions of times I've been cruising, and they rush for the 6 o'clock. And I'm thinking, why? Because a lot of them want to go to bed early. I didn't know that. Did you?
Yeah, it's just. I think it depends on the cruise.
Sure.
I think on some cruises, I noticed this sometimes on what we were talking before about cruising in Norway.
Yeah.
But if you've got scenic cruising first thing in the morning, you will get some people who want to get maybe away a bit earlier in the evening time and not be up until sort of midnight, 1 o'clock, because of the scenic cruising that's happening maybe at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
And I think that's when you're looking for your local independent travel agent sort of give you them hints and tips and sort of say, actually, maybe on this night I can see that you're scenic cruising down Hardangerfjord right early in the morning, so maybe just go to bed that little bit early, because I'd hate you to have a really good night, and there's nothing wrong with having a really good night, but maybe if you're getting into your cabin at 1 a.m, maybe not setting your alarm at 5 for your scenic cruising.
Yeah, you're not going to enjoy it, are you? No.
So that's maybe when the sea day. So maybe if you know you've got a sea day the next day, maybe you can let your hair down a little bit more, maybe go and see the show. Even if you're on for sitting, go and see the show, but maybe go up to the observatory and have a nightcap up there. Or do something a little bit different in the evening time, because there's lots of evening choices. We're talking about the ship then, we're talking about the dining, but in terms of them bars and restaurants, there's a real nice mix and a good choice. So if you want something a bit more relaxing, like in the observatory, we've got a lovely piano bar on board, or you've got your morning light pub. So maybe in the morning light pub you'll get your evening entertainment. So normally like a one-man act who's singing a few songs, and you can have a drink and a bit of a chat. That'll be going on in the morning light pub. You've got the ocean bar on board Berletta, which is just up near where the Neptune Lounge is, so that's another option as well. Or you maybe want something a bit quieter. You maybe want to go over across to the library or the botanical room, which offers something a little bit of a quieter option for you as well. Yeah,
and drinks are served to you, aren't they?
Yeah, yes. So take a seat and we'll bring them over.
Very similar to what I went on, and they had the dark wood atmosphere, and the high back chairs, that sort of thing, and it just makes it a club lounge.
It's nice and relaxing. And one thing from the last time I was on board, last time I was on the show, Ken, we have made a couple of changes for 2026. So a couple of the changes for 2026 on board the ship. When you're dining in selected restaurants, we'll now do complimentary drinks.
Okay.
Yeah, so at lunch and evening meal, we do included wine and beers, along with included gratuities. Yeah, we've had a little bit of a change. So if you're booking on what we call a freedom fare, so Freedom Fare gives you that freedom. It's our advanced booking fare. We have two different fare types.
Yeah.
A Freedom Fare and a Saver Fare. The Saver Fare is a bit more restrictive in that. But if you're booking on a Freedom Fare, along with the gratuities that are now included, we now are also including selected drinks at lunch and dinner in selected venues. So if you're in the main restaurant, you get a wine option and a beer option included in the price now.
Right, okay. At the time you're sitting down?
Yes.
Okay, so after that, let's go through this. So do I book a drinks package before I get on board? And how does that work?
Yeah, so then this is up to yourself. So obviously you might get an included drink with your evening meal, depending on which dining option you're in. But then if you want to go and have watch a show or go up to the observatory, then you can do a couple of options. You can pay as you go. And just get a drink as you would do. Drinks are very reasonably priced on board. They're all priced in sterling. But sometimes a few people want a peace of mind of saying, you know what, I don't want to pay as I go, I want a few more included drinks. So we do a premium drinks package. So we only do one drinks package for 2026, and it's a premium drinks package. The price varies depending on how many nights you're on board, but that includes basically a wide range of beers, wines, premium wines, all your premium spirits as well. Cocktails are included. All your signature cocktails are all included in it. So we've had a slight change from our drinks package from one we had in 2025 to this new one in 2026, where we include a lot more in it. It has changed in the price. It is, like I say, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's got a lot more inclusions in it.
Now then, Matthew, we've just gone through the dining and the drinks packages. What's the history of Fred Olsen? Because there was a person called Fred Olsen, wasn't there?
Yes, there still is. So we've got a really long history. So originally it was founded, it's family run, it's still family run. So originally founded back in 1848.
I wasn't there.
3 Norwegian brothers, so Frederick, Christian, Petter and Andreas Olsen. So initially the 3 brothers were fishermen, moved from fishing into freight, and then gradually over the years the company sort of diverged and gone into different businesses, and cruise lines was started back in 1986, I think it was, with a little ship called Black Prince, which was an existing ship in the fleet. That little ship was built in 1966. It was a ferry, and it got transformed from a ferry to a cruise ship.
Oh wow, okay, that's how it started.
Yeah, that's how it started, and that was the original ship, and it was strange because when I started with Fred Olsen, that was the first ship that I went on, Black Prince, which was then operated out of out of Liverpool. Very small ship, ran about 12,000 tons, carried just over 400 guests. So it was tiny. It was something very, very different.
Hold on, is this the tomato banana route?
Yes, yeah.
Sorry, I was selling. Sorry, but my brain just caught up with my mouth there. Yeah, this is me, Lewis's Travel in Manchester in 1803 or whatever it was, a long time ago, and I was sending people back who worked in the hotels. Portuguese and Spanish people came over for summer season, and they went back to La Coruña and Vigo on the way to the Canaries.
Yeah,
and it came back with tomatoes and bananas.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Sorry,
yeah, so
just something I remembered.
And Fred Olsen had the freight side of the business, so it was something which was already there. And Black Prince, like I say, it got transformed. And I remember I used to do tours around Black Prince and take travel agents around, as I did with you, Ken, on board Belletta. That was what I did originally, nearly 20 years ago, taking people around Black Prince, and you would take them out the back, and you'd see what was then the car door.
Yes.
And the car door on that little ship then, it was there, and we had like a floating pontoon that got put out for water sports. It was seriously. It was quite a unique thing. And I know some luxury lines now have a similar thing with the kind of a pontoon that opens out the back of their ships, and they have all these different toys and what have you to put out to sea. But yeah, that's how it all started.
Wow.
But we're still family run to this day, so we're still family run. The family have got a big involvement in the refurbishments of the ships, from the artwork on board.
Hands-on.
Yeah, very hands-on. And I was just saying to you, Ken, wasn't I? I was actually with Mr. Olsen Senior on board one of the ships in September. We weren't on the holiday together. I was on board working with a group of agents on board, and Mr. Olsen was on board, and he said, I won't mind a bit of a chat, and he was in the officers' mess, so we went up to the officers' mess, and there he was, and he's in his mid-90s now.
Wow.
Okay. And he had various different discussion points that he was chatting over about the ship. We were at that point then, we mentioned about the ships going into dry dock, and he was talking about Belletta and Borealis, and he said Borealis are going into dry dock, and we were refurbishing Coles and Taste. So we mentioned Coles and Taste before.
Yes.
We were refurbishing that restaurant, and he was sort of saying about different elements of what he liked, what he didn't like, and pieces of artwork that he had on board. So yeah, it's very, very switched on, and lots of different ideas.
Sounds like.
Yeah, lots of different ideas. So that's Fred Olsen Senior, but now his daughter Annetta Olsen is the sort of chairman of the business.
Right.
So yeah, still fully involved in what we do.
So there's going to be a ship called the Annetta, is there coming up?
No, I don't know. Well, that's an interesting point, Ken, because it's a Fred Olsen superstition that all the ships begin with the letter B.
Oh, that's right.
So that's hence the reason Balmoral, Belletta and Borealis. So Black Prince was a previous ship. We had Black Watch, Boudica, Braemar as well.
Strange enough, I went on Black Watch before it was Black Watch.
Yeah,
that was a few years ago again. That's been many cruises. So you might be getting a new ship soon, or nobody said anything yet?
Nobody said no. We don't want to start that rumour though.
No.
I think it's something which we would always like. But the interesting thing with new build ships, and you were talking before about the industry as a whole and how many new ships are coming, is generally when you put in an order for a ship, you can't generally just order one. That's why you get sister ships. You normally put the order in for sort of 2-3 ships. So I'd hope to think, in the next 20 years, if I'm still here at Fred Olsen, that is the case, and we get some new ships. But a lot of the ships we've always had have been what we call second-hand ships, and they come into our fleet from other lines, and we upgrade them and refurbish them. So, for example, the 2 ships we got just recently were from Holland America. Balmoral was an ex-NCL ship, and then Black Watch was an old Royal Viking Lines, I think she was.
Wow.
So
Black Watch was, and I went on it when it was Royal Viking.
Yeah.
Sorry, not that they're not around anyway.
No, not around anymore.
That's fine, that's okay. But just going back to that, pre-loved, I think, is a good word for you. That's the in word for something that's been used.
Yeah, and I think it's one of them things where we sort of bring them into our fleet and put our stamp on them. And if people are listening, they're familiar with Fred Olsen, they know that we have lots of different carpets on board. I think you always know which ship you're on, especially with Fred Olsen, when you look at the carpet.
Really?
Yeah, when you look at the carpet. So yeah, we bring them into our fleet, we upgrade them, refurbish, put them our stamp on them, and then generally about every 18 months they go into a dry dock period, because we do really keep on top of the ships on a daily basis. And I think it's one of the things that I've noticed versus other lines, that sometimes if we sort of mid-voyage we'll change change carpets, we'll upgrade cabins. Not at the discomfort of guests on board. You don't realise it's been done, to be honest with you. But the dry dock gives you that period of time where you take it out for 2-3 weeks, where you can do some really major work on it. And we've just done that on board Borealis, and we've got Balletta's dry dock coming up in the next week, I think it is. It starts.
Okay, so Borealis is back, is it?
Borealis is back. Yeah, it was in dry dock at the end of last year.
And the other one goes in.
The other one goes in the next week, I think it is.
And what's that, a month? Or?
So it's in for just over 20 days.
Yeah.
So quite an extended dry dock period.
Yeah.
So there'll be engineering works that go on. The ship will effectively get completely stripped and repainted. The hull gets a repaint. And there's little things that happen. All the technology now that comes in with cruise ships about the paint that you use on a hull, which makes the ship more streamlined,
slicker.
All about sort of dropping down on fuel, less fuel consumption on board.
Well, that's the biggest thing, isn't it? Yeah, one of the biggest things.
Yeah.
But I did notice when on several times that ships always get painted when they go in to look pristine.
Yeah.
Especially the white ones. Yeah, they really need to be looked
white
after.
is a real tricky colour. And I see this, and our ships used to be white, and now we sort of have a blue hull, which makes it a little bit better. But you will always see that if you're travelling with us, sometimes you'll be in a port and you'll see the staff on board the ship will be painting the side of the ship. Yeah,
that's the one.
With a pure white ship, you've got to be really careful with the rust lines on them.
Yeah.
When you're kind of 3-4 days at sea, the old salt water it's not kind to ships. So
a couple of statistics for you. So just to let you know that the cruise market is growing 6.3% every year. 15 new ships were launched 24-25. And cruise ship orders are right through to 2035 already, and the market is expected to grow. The vessels are now projected to carry 33.7 million passengers. My God, where did they all come from?
It's amazing. Obviously, there's a lot of people innovating with ships. There's new technologies coming on board. So obviously, I mentioned that about painting a hull with new paint technology, but new fuels are coming in. So new fuel technology. So there's various different elements with cruising, and that's a mixture of ships that get built. It's not all big ships. There's some luxury lines building new ships as well.
Yeah.
So there's a good choice out there.
I've noticed that I was on a 6,000 one. Not that I would do 2 weeks. It was a 2-nighter, brilliant for a first-time cruiser or a party. And we went out of Southampton to Cherbourg.
Yep.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. Took 4 generations of my family with me, and we had a thoroughly good time, all males, and we just got on like house on fire. But the 6,000 to me was too big. Yeah.
It's big. I mean, when we were talking before about the ship's facilities, and when you're on board what we class as a smaller ship, there's still everything that you need, and it still feels nice and spacious. I think that's the thing. It's still a spacious ship. But when you're on something at 6,000, I too, Ken, was on quite a few different ships towards the end of last year for our conference season in the industry. You get the chance to go on other people's ships and see what they're like. And I was on board one which was a similar sort of size. It's not for me. It's not for me. I get the like you said, the multi-generation, the kids and the facilities on board. But obviously, with the bigger ships comes a slightly more limited itinerary and a slightly different feel on board. But like I said, there's something now for everyone, and I think that's the benefit.
I think this is where your independent travel agent, including me, come into play, because if it's the knowledge that you need when you're booking, you're not just buying the pictures, I call it. You want to know what it involves. For instance, as I say, entertainment for children. Sometimes they don't want children; it's adults only, which is good for that. That's it. But if you do want, Celebrity, Royal Caribbean, they're probably more with children on board.
There's some amazing facilities for kids on some of the bigger ships. I mean, they're a resort in their own right, and I've got friends of mine who cruise on some of the bigger ships and take the families, and the kids absolutely love it. It's a fantastic cruise experience, but like I said, that's what you just said, Ken. There's something there for everybody.
What is it that makes a Fred Olsen cruise so magical? Maybe it's the awe-inspiring destinations, the wonderful people you travel with, or our extraordinary crew. Or is it simply the sea air and the sun on your face as you walk along the open deck? It could be all of this, or none of it. But if you really knew, then maybe it wouldn't be magic anymore. There is free onboard credit up to £200 per cabin or £100 per person on selected cruises departing between the 4th of January 2026 and the 14th of May 2027. Early booking offers are available until 29th of January 2026. T's and C's apply. For more information or to book a magical cruise, contact your local independent travel agent who will help you find the Fred Olsen cruise of your choice.
with Mathew from Fred Olsen Cruises, and we're talking about cruising from Liverpool. And you've got a bigger season, 2026, 27 than before, is that right?
Yeah, we've got a real good selection. As you know, Ken, I spend a lot of time speaking to different members of the trade about actually the mixture that we've got going from Liverpool. And I think sometimes people don't really realise where you can go to from Liverpool, and there is a real nice mixture. So when the ship comes out of dry dock, the next cruise after it on the 8th of February from Liverpool is 32 nights to the Caribbean.
I want to go.
Yeah, it seems like a nice one, doesn't it? I'm not sure I can get the time off yet for that one. But yeah, I mean, to the Caribbean and Liverpool. I know I mentioned earlier on, the case of some of them cruises we do down to the Med, but it's also closer to home as well. I mean, there's a cruise that I've just highlighted here, which is the 31st of March, islands and coastlines of Scotland at
Brilliant.
Easter. Yeah. And I've done Scotland 2 or 3 times now, and there's some beautiful scenery up in Scotland. So you've got a few of the ports of call up in the islands, but scenic cruising is a real highlight up there.
Well, can I just say, I went to Iona, invitation of my nephew last summer. I can't remember what time of the year it was now. Thoroughly. First time been up to the islands, and it was 13 hours to get there. That's another matter. But if I cruised up there, I can hop on and hop off the islands with you.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people like the idea of doing Scotland and think about driving up and doing that Calmac ferries and things like that. Yes. And it's like you say, Ken, it's a good old drive up there, and it's quite challenging. You got to book the ferries and what have you. So this is a much easier way of doing it. You get on at Liverpool and you get to experience it.
Do you know the itinerary on that one at all?
Yeah, let me have a quick look at it, Ken. Yeah. So this particular one, this is the 22nd of May.
Yeah.
And what's nice about this, and I've highlighted it for another reason as well, is this particular one. In fact, we've got a couple. This one I look at first of all is a 5-night one.
Yeah.
And the 5-night ones I always think are a great introduction to cruising.
Well, this is what Rod was saying, and I'm glad I brought him in because it was his first cruise. He brought you the feeling of it's my first cruise, and this is what you do, what have you, and the pitfalls, or not pitfalls, but basically you learn as you go along what to do, what not to do.
Yeah.
This is where your independent travel agent comes in, and Ken Garrity Travel as well. Get the advert in.
And I think the taste of cruises are always nice, and 5 nights give you a real idea because it generally incorporates port time, sea time, and scenic cruising time, the sort of 3 key elements. And this particular one going in May of 2026, sails from Liverpool, sails up to, so you get 2 ports of call. You get Kirkwall and Stornoway.
Wow.
As 2 lovely ports of call. Like I say, quite tricky to get to even unless you say, doing something like this.
Places I'd love to go to, yeah.
And then you scenic cruise past the Small Isles, past Dutchman's Cap, and past Fingal's Cave. So you get that scenic cruising.
Where I was last summer.
Yeah.
That was on Iona, and Fingal's Cave is a day trip. Or so half a day trip, yeah.
It's a really nice, and obviously that's a 5-night tasting, but if people want to do something a little bit longer, on the 20th of June we've got an 8-night sailing, which goes up to Lerwick, Kirkwall, Stornoway, the island of Petree, and then scenic cruising again within that, so a slightly longer duration one. And we do these cruises from Liverpool, we do them from Newcastle, from Rosyth as well. We do a nice Scottish Isles one from Rosyth, and if you want to go a slightly different direction but still close to home, in July, the 17th of July, we're doing 8-night sailing doing scenic landscapes of Ireland.
Okay.
So this one going from Liverpool takes you up a little bit scenic cruising, goes all the way around to Galway and Killybegs. You do the port of call now for Dublin. You normally dock inside the outside of Dublin now for Dublin, calls into Belfast, but plenty scenic cruising in between.
Oh, is that Dunleary probably?
Dunlahore is it? I think
Dunleary.
Dunleary is it?
Yeah, not that I'm Irish, but I've been selling ferries across with B&I and Irish ferries to Dunleary for years.
So it's a nice, and I think that's the benefit of Liverpool is you've got something like the Caribbean for that long duration. You've got something like Scotland and Ireland, or things down to the Med, and then later on in the year, because like I said, this is for the season. Yeah. So that's some of the springtime ones. As you go through the summer, one of the really popular ones in the summer. And I think there's still a little bit of availability. But on the 7th of August, we do a cruise to Iceland.
Brilliant.
For the solar eclipse.
Yeah, brilliant.
So the solar eclipse cruise is 11 nights, a wonderful destination. I actually took my little girl up to Iceland.
Yeah.
I think it was on her second cruise that she cruised a few years ago with me up to Iceland. Great destination. If you've done Norway, you've done the North Cape, maybe you've been far north of Spitsbergen, and you like that kind of cruise, Iceland is another nice one. One of the ones we've actually got, Ken, in 2027, going a little bit further afield, is Greenland and Iceland.
Wow.
Now
that's if it's still
that's
under
if it's still
Danish.
If it's still a Danish rule. Probably a bit popular at the minute, to be honest with you, given that.
But it's got some publicity, hasn't it?
Has, yeah. Now, we don't have a Greenland cruise going in 2026. We had one in 2025, and then we give it a miss in 26, but we've got another one going in 27. So it is popular. I think it's one of them destinations that can only be visited at certain times. We can only visit it in certain summer months.
Well, May to September, I think.
Yeah, even that. I think we have. I was speaking to our operations manager. He sort of said he really is tight on when you can go because of the ice, because of the ice fields.
Well, strange enough, I've flown to the USA, Canada millions of times, and if you get a window seat right-hand side, you can see the ice flows, the icebergs coming off the land, and it's hundreds of them, not ones or two. No wonder the Titanic hit one, but I didn't say that. Sorry, oops. But at Greenland, it was fascinating just to watch it. It mainly is snow-covered year-round, and it went on for hours, but it's a huge place. So there's one for you. Svalbard, which is Spitsbergen. That seems to be the in-place for polar bears. Is that right?
It is, yeah. And Spitsbergen you always used to be somewhere we used to go every year, if not twice a year. And then over recent years, it's diminished a little bit. And the main reason is we used to do a few ports of call up there, but some of them are Russian owned. So we don't call in. So we used to call into Pyramid, but Pyramid I think is Russian owned.
Okay.
Similar to when we used to call into St. Petersburg, used to be very, very popular, but we don't call in there anymore. Sure. But yeah, in 2027, we are back up to Spitsbergen for the first time in a few years, to be honest with you.
Well, that's in because everybody wants to see polar bears now. So yeah. And by the way, polar bears and penguins do not mix. I keep seeing people wanting polar bears and penguins. They don't. They're different poles, I'm afraid. Just a bit of education there, but that's one for you. But can you tell me, I want somewhere warm from Liverpool. Where can I go?
Yeah, so and it really just depends on the season because like I say, in the summer season, we tend to do a lot of our cruises northbound. Like I say, your Norways, your Iceland, your Greenlands, and what have you. So normally as you come out of that sort of period and the shoulder seasons of spring are going a little bit later on into maybe sort of September time. This is a lovely cruise, 22nd of September, exploring the French Riviera.
Brilliant.
So a really nice cruise from Liverpool, calling into some ports of call that I've not done for a few years, to be honest with you. This one going down to Villefranche. The last time I was in Villefranche was on board Braemar a good number of years ago, and it's a really pretty port. This one calls into Toulon, calls into Corsica, and then also calls into some ports of call into Spain as well, into Cartagena, Malaga, Gibraltar. But that's a nice cruise in September. Yeah. I think it's a really popular time of year to go. It just comes off that peak summer heat.
Well, I think you got it right because you got the land of the midnight sun where you could do the Iceland and Norway, and then you got the wet weather that is not too hot, like you say, in September. September, October is probably a good time to go down there.
Yeah, it definitely is. And if you want something maybe not quite as long, but similar sort of time here, a little bit after, the 8th of October from Liverpool, we've got an 8-night cruise. Well, a nice duration if you've never cruised again. Yeah. 8 nights going to Harbours and Vineyards of France.
Oh, right.
So another nice cruise, that one. And like I said, nice duration. Harbours and Vineyards of France. This particular cruise, once again, takes you from Liverpool down to the very pretty port of Honfleur. Really pretty part of Honfleur, down to L'Orient, and then down to Pouliac for Bordeaux. So if you like a spot of wine, then
that's
you can do some nice excursions on that one.
But the easiest part, and I did this, I went by train to Liverpool, a quick taxi ride to the port to less than 5 minutes, and it works, doesn't it? Liverpool is such a handy place for us to be.
It's ideal, you know. I know I speak to a lot of people who cruise, and I do a lot of events, and a lot of people say, "Oh, we've got in Southampton." I sort of mention, or cruising from Liverpool. I'm like I say, up in Edinburgh tomorrow, and we've got the port of Rosyth that we use, and then we've got Newcastle. But if you are local, there is no better choice than Liverpool. Like I said, Ken, if you're comfortable enough to get the train there and jump in a taxi down to the port, that's great. If you don't and you want to drive and park your car, we use the parking at Liverpool One. You can pre-book that. So something you would pre-book if you've never cruised before. Don't just turn up. Pre-book your port parking. But that's Liverpool One. Then you get the little shuttle service down to the port. But it's ideal. It really is. You know,
well, I thought the getting on board was so easy. It's a few check-in desks, not millions, not a huge place. And once you've checked in, you wait to be called, and then you're led through to the ship.
Yeah, and I was just listening to the interview then about the new to cruise then from your colleague who was He was on board
yeah.
the P&O ship.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that I always notice when I'm on a cruise ship, and it is a really valid point, which was highlighted then, about the fact that once you've checked in, you're on holiday.
Yes.
There isn't this thing. Now, we do fly cruising as well. It's
Yeah.
not so we do fly cruising from Manchester down into the Med, because obviously sometimes you want to get somewhere a little bit quicker. But when you cruise from Liverpool, you check in, you're in your cabin, your luggage gets brought to you. You don't take your luggage on board. Your luggage is brought to you. You're on holiday straight away. So you can go up, get a bite to eat, go out to the pool, get a cocktail. It starts straight
You're
away.
on holiday straight
and that's
away.
it. It's
Yeah.
not that trip to the airport, 2 hours waiting around, then the flight, then the transfer.
Yeah.
You're on holiday straight away.
Now then, back with Mathew. And Mathew, one or two things to finish off with. We got a round the world cruise coming up.
Well, yeah, if you really want to go for an extended period of time, then we have a 2027 World Cruise, which is available. That departs in January 27, 98 nights, so just under the magic 100 nights, which I think helps for insurance reasons.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think once you go over the 100 nights, insurance companies aren't that keen.
No, you're
but
probably right.
98 nights. This one around the world, visiting Japan and Hawaii.
Brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
Panama Canal cruise as well.
Yeah, we've got a real mixture on this one. So obviously, transit the Panama Canal, some lovely Hawaiian islands. I think Japan is the main pull for a lot of people. It
sells.
Yes,
Yeah.
it definitely sells. I think it's as a destination.
Yeah.
It sells. And obviously, if people don't want to fly but they still want to visit it, then this is your option.
I'm getting more and more inquiries at Ken Garrity Travel. If you want me, I will tell you I've been to Japan. It's lovely as well. Now then, just to finish off, you've got an early booking presence at the moment?
Yeah, we've got up to £200 on board spend per cabin on a range of cruises going throughout 2026 and into 2027. And obviously, we've mentioned we've got some great Liverpool options. And if you want something else, if you're looking at Norway or what have you, we do depart from Newcastle, so that little bit closer, a little bit less time at sea. If you want somewhere like the fjords, we've got a full programme from Newcastle in 2027. We have a change round of the ships. We have Borealis, which is the adult only ship, coming to Liverpool in 2027, and Boletta moves across to Newcastle.